Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is your podcast for all things hockey. On this podcast, we talk about past history to the modern day and what you can do to grow the sport. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. And welcome back to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode number 62. So, with March Madness coming up, we have our own version of March Madness in hockey, NCAA hockey, of course. The Frozen Four is coming out. Now, for those of you that don't know, it's going to be 75 years old. 3/4 of a century old. Jeez. How many 75-year-olds do you know? Not many. Probably. My old man's 70 though, but my old man's 70 and I know a couple people in their 80s. But not that many people. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about the history. I do want to get into the bracket first. So if you're on Spotify, if you're on YouTube, definitely go check that out as well. When you get the chance, if you're listening to this on Apple, go to YouTube or Spotify to actually get the video as well. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so I will share my screen, and probably. So to think. So let's think. Let's take this one step at a time, real quickly. So you have this bracket right here. So Minnesota is going to be the favorite, or one of the favorites at least. You have your 4 seed, Boston. 3 seed is Michigan. The 2 and the 2, and then you get Quinnipiac down here. So here are your seedings as well. You have Michigan's going to be number 1 in their respective. See the Allenton seeds. Geez, at this point, you might as well plant them and grow some fruit. Funny. So you have Michigan, Penn State, Michigan Tech, and Colgate. Like the toothpaste, Colgate is number 4. Michigan Tech is number 3. Penn State, I've got to admit, I have to hand it off to them as well with the, because back when I was in college, they were just like brand new in the whole NCAA tournament, but now they actually have something going. Quinnipiac is in there for the 1 seed at Bridgeport Seeds. Harvard is number 2. The Buckeyes got in this tournament. Ohio State coming in with 20 wins, 15 losses, and 3 OT losses. Merrimack is at 23. I actually do not know why Merrimack is at that low. Fargo Seats. Minnesota, St. Cloud, Minnesota State, and Canisius. Manchester Seeds, Denver, your champions from last year are number 1. Boston University is there. Western Michigan. So you're not going to... So a lot of kids from Michigan are going to be playing in this one. And Cornell. So this is it. Okay, let me get back here. And this is the bracket for March 23rd. If you're assuming you're listening to this in the morning on March 23rd, you're going to get this And I've got to say that this is going to be one interesting time. And these are your brackets, and then we'll decide here from the semis as well. So you got the quarterfinals there, and you get the quarterfinals here. Okay, predictions. Let's get into the predictions. I've got to take the Buckeyes to beat. That's actually going to be tough. Okay, all right. Quinnipiac is going to beat Merrimack. I think that's just fair enough to say. I don't think they'll make it past the quarterfinals, though. I think Harvard's might be your right there. So let's see. Right there, Boston University or Western Michigan. I'll take Boston University, and I guess I'll take the champs and play it safe, and they'll defeat either Harvard or the Buckeyes as well. So you got that. St. Cloud and Minnesota State. Okay, it's going to be a battle of Minnesota here in the quarterfinals. On this side here, Michigan's going to beat Colgate. I mean, you can't really, like, when your school's named after a toothpaste, I think it's fair to say that. And I think Michigan Tech is just going to find a way, is, of course, going to beat Penn State, because Penn State is still brand new to this tournament. They're probably the newest here, so I don't expect too much from them. But then again, things have happened as well. Okay, so you have Michigan Tech and Michigan. Michigan takes it, and Minnesota is going to win this. The Golden Gophers, not Minnesota State. So you got that there, and so you get that there. Okay, so Michigan and yes, you have Michigan and Minnesota. This is going to be a tough battle. It could go either way. I've got to say that, but I still will probably play it safe and just take Minnesota to win it. I'll take Minnesota to win against Michigan. So that's going to be your champion on this side of the bracket. And I could see Boston University finding a way to get through it. Maybe Harvard as well. But yeah, so Minnesota is going to be your safe pick, and Michigan and Michigan Tech are going to be your safe picks. If St. Cloud, I think St. Cloud could still do something. And remember, hockey, the underdogs do perform better in this sport than in basketball, because this game is just that much harder. But definitely go print this out as well. I'll leave either a PDF for this, or you can search this out at NCAA brackets/ice hockey as well. So I'll leave either a link or a link to a PDF or something in the show notes for this. So let's get into the history of that. And actually, I'm going over the scores right now. If I can get to it. Okay, let's see this. History. Okay. So the Frozen Four started in 1948 with Michigan taking the title over Dartmouth. It was just called the NCAA's Ice Hockey Championship up until the final part of the 20th century, 1999. It was rebranded to the Frozen Four, and I think you know why, because of the basketball, and you just want to see the you want to compare it to your other sports, and it's kind of hard to identify with the other sports as well when you're just doing that as well. Okay, so you got that. Boston College and Denver are the leaders in the championships since 2000. Minnesota Duluth has 3, and regular Minnesota has 2. That I didn't know, by the way. So just keeping that in there. So of course, in 2020 there was no champion because of that. UMass got it. Denver got it. Denver is in there again. North Dakota got in there. Providence, Rhode Island. That's probably like one of the few championships they have. Union, don't know much about them, honestly. Yale, of course, in 2013. 2013 was a good year for college hockey. Boston College, 2012. Minnesota Duluth, Boston College, Boston University, Boston, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Denver, Minnesota. And he went so long. And by the way, Don Lucia went pretty long without a championship, by the way, at Minnesota. From 2003 to the end of his time. And it didn't win that, really. But he was a pretty winning coach, by the way, back in the day. Yeah, there he is. 2002, Michigan. He did some good things. Boston University, Michigan State, and just go there as well, and you get the chance, and I will stop that. So 1948 was when it started, and aside from 2020, it had everything in there. But I've got to admit something to you. If you watch college hockey, whether you're watching the ACHA or the NCAA, I've got to admit something. It is intense. It's still very intense, especially if you're close to the action and the checking. And I'm like, of course I wasn't going to get much playing time because my head coach didn't want me getting hurt. I think he was worried about me. I was not very big, and I'm still not very big compared to most people. Most hockey players. I mean, I'm still strong. I mean, if it was more of a matter of getting stronger, I think I do wish I was. Of course, who doesn't wish they were stronger or strong enough to take the hits? I mean, I definitely could handle the high school, but then it's like, you're going from 18 years old handling high school hits and being checked by some AAA players too. But then, after that, it really does, and then it's like, you're going against guys in their mid-20s, some of them, and they've been playing since, and some of them might have actually been playing for 2 decades, or nearly 2 decades, like easily 16 years, easily a decade plus. These guys have been playing easily, some of them, and they're just like so, and like you're 18, like going up against a 25-year-old. Of course, your coach is going to be worried about you, and it's why you don't see many 18-year-olds going to the NHL as well. So there's that. But the Frozen Four is still very interesting compared when you compare it to the NCAA March Madness basketball. When you compare it there, you only got a limited amount of teams, and there's, I'm trying to think. Maine is not in this as well. New Hampshire, you would think there'd be more states involved. Even like the University of Chicago, you could still have them play at United Center, but they're going in Tampa. They're going to be in Tampa for the tournament, but you'd think there'd be more schools involved. Maryland is not ready. The University of Maryland is not ready for the they're not ready to be an actual NCAA D1 team. They're not ready for it. They couldn't. I don't think maybe they could go up against Penn State or something, and all their rivals are going to be could be 300 miles away easy. That's another reason why you're not seeing that come really down there. The Buckeyes have Ohio, Miami University, Miami University out in Ohio. And so there's that. So they still have two schools in the state of Ohio that play in the NCAA. And you have North Dakota. I haven't really even seen South Dakota really much less. And I think, and that's kind of strange. Montana doesn't have one. Washington State doesn't have it. Iowa doesn't have a school, and Iowa's a very cold state too. And it's nothing. It's a corn state too, but there's still nothing there. And I think with a state like Arizona, it's still like it's an anomaly, and you gotta like bust these kids in from Denver and in Colorado College to go there, and it's still a long drive. For the most part, it's going to be a long drive to Phoenix, and you're out in the desert too. So college hockey, and also the reason why you're not seeing that many schools, and you only have maybe a few dozen schools, when you have probably hundreds, if not 1,000 D1 NCAA schools for basketball. You have, the reason why you're not seeing that is because they have to pay for the ice. Some of them actually, at one point or another, did share it with the NHL as well. And I think, okay, and Ohio State now probably does do it with the Blue Jackets, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota has anywhere. Ann Arbor, sometimes they do play in Detroit. Sometimes they did that. Arizona and shares it with the Coyotes. So Arizona State shares it with the Coyotes. So there's that. And so they're sharing it with them. And sometimes the NBA arenas share it with the NCAA schools. But remember, you're still maintaining the ice, and that's why they don't see it. Also, unless you're in Wisconsin, Michigan, or any of the really northern states where kids will skip school to go watch the games, you're not going to make any profit off for this. So remember, that's another reason why this tournament's not that popular, as well. And I'm not downplaying anything as well with this. I'm not trying to downplay this. It just is. If I could get this up real quickly. So you need to really be in Boston, Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan to make a profit off of this. And if you've seen the Michigan, if you've seen the Michigan University arena where they play ice hockey, it used to be a basketball arena. It was not for ice hockey, and then it transformed into ice hockey. And I don't think we're going to see many more schools adopt this. It is tough for ice hockey to grow enough, and the NHL just got 32 teams. But yeah, so that's why I don't think it's still not taking off. Okay, the tournament is going to be on March 23rd. It actually occurs in the afternoon, which is it's the afternoon on March 23rd. You're competing with airtime from, I'm going to get this up real quickly. I'm pretty sure they're competing with basketball as well at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast. I'm sorry. That is a very big fall off from the from the tournament council or whoever. Okay, so tomorrow, well, and I'm broadcasting this on a Wednesday, by the way. You've got so many. Well, actually, okay. So even though you're not going to have to compete with necessarily the NCAA basketball games there, you're still going to be 2 o'clock on a Thursday. No one's really going to be watching that. You're going to be lucky if you get a few 100,000 eyeballs on it. They're not. And where are they going to be coming from? They're going to be coming from the northern states, unless you've got. And also, some of these games are out of market as well. They're not going to be broadcasted in the same light. Now, I mean, you can channel surf if you've got certain streaming or anything as well. You know, you'll find it. If you're just the average cable viewer, you're not going to get this. And I do think that's a bit of a flaw of the tournament, is that some of these games don't come on the main networks, and it's not on prime time either. Now I know you're going to be competing with you know, the March Madness basketball games, but still, I know you have two tournaments going on at the same time, and they can still be played at the same arena with as well, potentially, like Michigan. I'm not even sure if Michigan's in the basketball tournament right now, but it is a. I know it's hard to figure out when you're going to broadcast this or how you're going to compete, but 2 o'clock on a Thursday for some of the games literally makes no sense to me. And I know you got to get these games in, and you can't just go week by week as well. And you can't just do that. And Friday is like Friday at like 7 o'clock at night. Good luck getting eyeballs on that. You know, that's going to be tough, but most people are going to have, if they work from home, unless they're in the north, or you'll find some people in the south who will watch the games if they are working from home on a Thursday, and they have streaming. They'll watch it. Some of them will watch it, of course, but yeah, I do want to just say that I think, you know, you could find better times to do it. And I actually think that a Wednesday night would have been better than a Thursday afternoon, because people are still working on Thursday afternoon. So I do think that is a logistical nightmare. Let me get the tournament back up. Okay, the national championship is going to be in Tampa at Meal Arena. Let me Google that and just make sure that it is home to the Tampa Bay Lightning, I think. Okay. Yeah, home for the Tampa Bay Lightning of the National Hockey League. And yeah, so that's another thing. Some of these games even take place, you know, they've taken place in Detroit, they've taken place at Little Caesars Arena as well. Now it definitely helps, and the NHL definitely takes some of the pressure off when it comes to playing the games, and they don't have to worry about, you know, the schools or the local road down local rink down the street to host it. And they also need the capacity to fill it. But I think in Tampa, it's still going to be a good choice. At 8 o'clock on ESPN2 on, let me see if it's not April, it's going to be, Yeah, April 8th, too. Now, baseball is going to be in full swing. Baseball is going to be in full swing, and I guess you're going to be out at the end of opening day, so you could still get eyeballs on this. If you get over 500, if you get over 500,000 people watching this, I think that would still be good for college hockey. And it's not, and if you're new to this, and getting on the tournament stuff, it's not like the NHL. They wear full face shields. They wear full cages rather, and they get the let me put and they don't hit as hard in college hockey, at least on TV. But if you go out there in like the ACHA, geez, I remember just being brutal watching like some of the players get clobbered and everything. But yeah, there's that. Okay, so more on the history. Before I let you go today, as well. Let me see this. Don Lucia had two. He had two out of all of that, and you'd think he'd have more too. I honestly thought he would have had more Frozen Four championships, as well, or maybe he had different championships. So David Carlay, is Denver, and I'm still not sure if Herb. I'm actually going to see if Herb Brooks is on this. Yeah, Herb Brooks is on that, and he won it with Minnesota 3 times, which is and then of course he wins the Miracle Game, and he wins the gold medal for the United States. And Bob Johnson and Jack Parker were actually competing with him, and I'll leave I'll leave the bracket down in the show notes, and I'll leave a link to the history of this. Okay, I'll leave the bracket down and in the history of this as well in the show notes. Yeah, I think Maine only had one as well, or I think he had. I think yeah, Maine had a couple though. They made 11 appearances though, and they won twice. So, geez, I mean, it's tough to win this. Yale won one, Union won one, UMass won one, Providence, Northern Michigan, Harvard, RPI, Cornell, Colorado College won 2, Duluth won 3, Michigan Tech won 3, Michigan State won 3, Lake Superior won 3, Minnesota only won 5, which is interesting. But Michigan and Denver have the most, at least from the 26 appearances. Michigan leads with 26 appearances. Yeah, so a lot of Michigan as well. I think this is still going to be a great tournament, and here's why you should watch this. It's because this game is amazing, and it's action packed, and And even though it's not NHL level, you know, you're still going to see amazing plays. And in fact, you're going to have more room to see amazing plays with the people on the ice and some potential NHL stars too. So later when they get drafted, some of them might get drafted as well. And if you're in the Tampa area, go to the game as well. And I do like it that they have brought it to Tampa because, you know, it does expand the game and it does get, you know, more people that typically weren't exposed to the game exposed to the game. So yeah. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Adam Austin Hockey Podcast. Thank you for listening to me rant. By the way, I'll leave those links in the show notes for you. And with that being said, take care. Peace out.